So we started with module 3. We started discussing about a brief introduction about the JavaScript. Okay. So how JavaScript executes the JavaScript code. Okay. How it takes the help of browser to execute the JavaScript code. Then we saw a few JavaScript, scripting languages. Okay. Pooja, please mute. Okay, so today we'll discuss about the JavaScript design principles. Okay, so coming to the layers, okay, to execute the JavaScript code, so to execute the JavaScript code, okay, there are a few layers. Okay, so first coming to the presentation layer. So mainly the presentation layer will have the classes. Okay, so we know that JavaScript is a object-based language. So here we'll be having classes. Okay, for interacting with the users. Okay, for presenting of the data. Next, validation layer. So validation layers will be having the classes that is related to validating the logical aspects. Okay, for example, you want to validate a USN number, you want to validate the username, email address, phone numbers. Okay, so it will be having classes related for validating the data. Next one is business layer. So in the business layer, we'll be having classes that is related to real world entities. Okay. So if I take an example of uh, a simple example of a website, okay, then a website will be having a customer class. Okay, what are the attributes inside the customer class? What are the methods? So all those things belongs to a business layer. Similarly, a product class, sales class. So general real world entities, okay, the general world entities classes will be there in business layer. And the next one is the data layer. So in the data layer, we keep classes that can handle interaction with the data sources. So here in the data layer, we'll be having classes, okay, which will be helpful for interacting with the data source. So data source can be a database, okay, where you store the data, okay, the database. You want to fetch the data about an employee which is stored in the database. Then that information, that classes will be there in the data layer. And the last one is asynchronous layer. So asynchronous layer, we already discussed about Ajax concept in the previous class. So in the asynchronous layer, the request is routed to the server in the background. So the user when interacts with the website for fetching the data, whatever the request he will send, okay, that load time will not be known to the user. So whatever the request execution, everything will be done at the background, okay, without wasting any time. So browser will not be in the loading state. So user will never feel that the data is loading or it is taking the time to fetch the data from the server. So all those things will be not known to the user. So that will be taken care by the asynchronous layer. So you can see here when this is a small example, you have 3 tabs here. So when you click on the Twitter tab, okay, you will be seeing certain information. Okay, so when you are reading this information at the same time, the browser will be interacting with the server to fetch these tab details. Okay, these 2 tab details, it will be interacting at the background and it will be fetching these details. So you will not be knowing those loading time, okay, or the fetching time. So that time, okay, you will not be known. So similarly, you can see in this example. So the next tab, okay, when as soon as you click on this button, you will get the next information. So that also will be kept ready. Okay, so all the request of getting the data from the server will be not known to the user. The next one is user without JavaScript. So one of the drawback of JavaScript is sometimes some of the browser may not be able to execute the JavaScript code. But the latest browser what we have, it is capable of executing the JavaScript code. So there are some drawbacks. Okay. So what are the drawbacks? First one is web crawler. So web crawler is nothing but it is like a spider. Okay. So you might have heard the word spider or web crawler. So why we use web crawler is the client, that is browser. Okay, will be running a web crawler or a spider on behalf of the search engine for fetching the data from the server. Okay, whenever you are fetching any website's data or details, you will be taking the help of the web crawler, or we call it as a spider. So what happens is when the web crawler is fetching the data from the server, it may not understand or it may not interpret the JavaScript code. Sometimes it is not capable of understanding certain JavaScript code. Okay, so that depends on the versions or different types of web crawlers. Okay, some old web crawlers may not be able to understand the JavaScript code. So that is first drawback. The next one is you may be using certain browser plugins. Okay. So for example, plugin is nothing but a piece of software that acts as an add-on to the web browser and gives the browser additional functionalities. Okay. So for example, I have a plugin for blocking the ads. Okay. So when you are displaying a website, you don't want to display don't want the ads. Okay, ad to be displayed in the website. So you can use this plugin, ad blocking plugin. Okay. So what it will do is it will block all the JavaScript code that is related to ads. Okay. So usually ad JavaScript code will be having AD. Okay. So it will be having AD. So problem is that sometimes it may also block this advanced.js because it is also starting with AD. Okay. So AD is for add. Okay. So some add JavaScript will be having add AD. Okay. Some name .js. So it is possibility that this code also may be blocked. And the third one is text-based clients. So some clients is nothing but here client is nothing but browser. Okay. So some clients are using text-based browsers. Okay. So text-based browser is nothing but in text-based browser, what we do is if you want to access the content from a website, we'll be using command line interface. Okay. Using the help of commands, we'll be fetching the data from the website. We'll be accessing the data. Okay, you're moving from one tab to another tab or anything. Okay, if you want to interact with the website, you will be making use of command line interface. So suppose if you are using some text based browser, in that case, okay, so you may not be able to execute the JavaScript code. Fourth one is visually disabled client. Okay, so there is a special browser. Okay, for visually blind people. Okay, so special web browsing software to read the content of web page. Okay, outload to them. Okay, so there is a special software for blind people to read the websites, content of the websites. So what the special browser will do, sometime the special browser which is meant for visually disabled people may not understand the JavaScript code. Okay, so that is, these are the 4 points or 4 drawbacks, okay, where you will not be able to execute the JavaScript code. So what we can do is, if you are not able to execute the JavaScript code, you can place it within a tag called as no script. Okay. So if browser is not able to execute the JavaScript code, in that case, whatever you are placing, okay, the content that you place inside the no script tag will be executed. Okay, as you can see here, if the browser is not able to execute this page, okay, then it will display, sorry, your browser does not support JavaScript. Okay, it should be placed within this tag, no script tag. So that is the importance of no script tag. So the next one is, where does JavaScript go? Okay. So this I already explained. Okay, when I started with the lab program. Okay, first program. So previous to that, I executed all these types of JavaScript. What is inline? What is embedded? What is external JavaScript? There are three types of JavaScript. Okay. So JavaScript, they may ask you the question, Java, how you will link your JavaScript into a HTML page? What are the different ways? Explain. So you have to explain these three. Okay. So this one is called as, this is called as inline JavaScript. So you can see here, for this is red color, whatever we see, these are inline JavaScript. So here JavaScript code is directly within the HTML attribute. So this is HTML attribute. Okay. And the value of this HTML attribute is the JavaScript code. So this red color one is JavaScript code. So JavaScript colon open window. So it will open a new window. Again, this one is for alert. So if you want to display an alert button, okay, alert box, are you sure? Okay, it will display an alert box. Okay, so this is a simple example for inline JavaScript where you add JavaScript code directly to the HTML attribute. Okay, so you can create a simple HTML code and place this, okay, two lines, okay, within a body tag of HTML and execute it. Okay. So what is the advantage of going for a simple inline JavaScript? Why we have to go for this inline JavaScript? The advantage is it will save an extra HTTP request to fetch the source of a script. So that means you are not to say you are not storing the HTML JavaScript code in a separate file. Okay. So here itself we are writing the JavaScript code. So the time to access the data can be saved. The disadvantage is reusability is not possible. So this particular code can be used only for this particular page. Okay. So you cannot use this JavaScript for one more page. Okay. So that is reusability is not possible. So maintenance is difficult. That means you are writing HTML code and JavaScript code in the same file. Okay. So whenever you want to make any changes to the JavaScript code, you have to check the uh, entire page for searching for JavaScript code. So maintenance is somewhat difficult. Next one is large size. If you are going for, okay, a large JavaScript code, you can see here, these are all one line, okay, or two words, okay, JavaScript code. But suppose if you want to embed a large JavaScript code, okay, maybe of 5-6 lines, in that case you cannot use this. Okay, so you cannot write 5-6 lines here. Okay, so you have to go for one more way of embedding the JavaScript. So this is not supported for large size JavaScript code. And the last one is browser cache. Okay, so in the case of inline JavaScript, it is not possible to cache the data. So not cached by the browser. Okay. Caching of the data, okay, storing in the browser cache. So that is not possible for storing the data. The next one is, next type is embedded. Okay. So this is a style that we have used embedded JavaScript. You can see here, we will use a JavaScript similar to the embedded CSS. Okay. So similar to embedded CSS, we have embedded JavaScript. So embedded CSS we were using style, but in embedded JavaScript we are using script. Okay. Type is equal to text bar JavaScript. Okay. And here inside this you will be writing the JavaScript code. So first line what you see, it is a comment. Okay. So this is for displaying a alert box. So everything is placed within the tag script. Okay, so you have to use your script tag. Next one is last one, external JavaScript. Okay. So similar to external CSS, we have external JavaScript. Okay. So if you at all your JavaScript code is large, okay, so you have a large JavaScript code around 15 to 50 lines, okay, or more than that, okay. So in that case, you can use external JavaScript. So in external JavaScript, you will be creating a separate external file. Okay, same as a file we create for CSS with an extension .css. Here we use an extension .js. Okay, so JavaScript file will be having the external extension .js. Okay, this you have to remember. So here you can see this is an external JavaScript. Okay, so here we have script tag, type is equal to text bar JavaScript, and source is equal to greeting.js. So this separate file you have to create. Okay, you have to create a separate file JavaScript code, and this name you have to give greeting.js. Okay, and inside this you have to write JavaScript code. For example, creating variable where a b c document.write. So whatever JavaScript code is there, that you have to write here. Okay, and file that file name you have to refer here. Okay, similar to external CSS. This is external JavaScript file. The next topic we study about syntax. Okay, so some fundamental syntax. Okay, so to before writing the JavaScript code, JavaScript programs. Okay, so now we have already executed a few programs in the JavaScript in the lab. So it is not a big problem to understand the JavaScript code. Okay. So few points you have to understand. So what is a variable? How to create the variable in JavaScript? What do you mean by assignment? Conditional? Okay. What is how you have to create the loops, loop statements? How to create array? Okay. So these things will be studying. So the first one is JavaScript is case sensitive. Okay. So for example, we are creating a variable where a. Okay. Now if you are creating variable capital letter A, so now these two variables are different. Okay. So they are case sensitive. Okay. So this A is different from capital letter A. Okay. So similarly, uh, function names also. For example, if you are giving the function name, how to create the function in JavaScript, okay, you will be giving the function keyword, and followed by that you are writing the name of the function. Okay, for example, you are writing POW function. Okay, so this is a function if you are writing. Okay, if you write here P capital letter O capital letter W, that is different compared to this capital letter P and small letter OW. Okay, that you have to take care while executing the programs. Okay, so it is case sensitive. So you have to uh, remember. Okay, you have to follow this. Okay, scope of the variable in block is not supported. So that means a variable which is declared inside the loop may be accessible outside of the loop. Okay, counter to what one could expect. So scope of the variable, we have studied the scope of the variable, right? What about local variable, global variable, scope? Okay, so that you have to take care. So if you are declaring a variable inside the loop, it may be accessible outside of the loop. Okay, so if this is inside a loop, these two, they can be accessed outside the loop as well. So the next one is this operator. Okay, triple equal to operator. So triple equal to operator, it tests not only for the equality but also for the type. Okay, for example, if I'm writing A triple equal to B, okay, So here if I'm storing A with the value 10 and B the value 10, and if this is of type int and this is of type float, then it will return false. Okay. So it will also not only check the value, it will also check for the type. That means if this is declared as int, even this should be declared as int. Okay. So data should match and even the data type should also match. Next one, these two keywords you have to understand. One is null, another one is undefined. Okay. You can see here, so I have an example for this. We have declared a variable demo here. Okay. So this is a variable and we have not assigned any value for this, correct? So we have not assigned the demo is equal to some value, we have not assigned. So we have just declared with the variable demo. Now, if I give alert demo, okay, alert is for displaying the data what is there inside this demo variable. If I give alert demo, then it will display, okay, it will display undefined. That means the value is not defined for the variable demo. Okay. Now there is one more case that is called as null. Okay. You are telling the value what you are storing, it is null. That means not having any value in this. Okay. They are telling demo is equal to null. You are declaring like this. Then if you display alert demo, it will display null, not undefined. Okay. Here it will display undefined and here it will display null because you have assigned with the value null. Semicolons are not required. Here you can see here I have given semicolon, correct? These semicolons are not required but are permitted or encouraged. So it is a good practice to give the semicolon or to terminate every statement. Okay, but it is not mandatory. There is no type called as integer. So here in C and all we have integer, float, double and all, right. Here we don't have any such type called as integer. We call it as a number. Type is number. Okay. Next, how to create the variable. So this and all we have already studied in the lab how to create the variables. Okay. So here you can see here we have created a variable with the name counter with a keyword where, okay, this is a keyword used. There is one more variable index pi, okay, and it's assigned with this floating point value. Okay, so the type of this pi is float, and similarly st, okay, and here you can see we have not used the keyword where. Okay, so you can, it is not compulsory that we have to use this where keyword. Okay. So st hello, okay, but it's a good practice to create with the variable where. Okay. So here st is equal to hello. Okay. Type of this variable is string, and here you can see there is one more variable stop flag. Okay. It is of type boolean bool. Okay. So it is taking two values either true or false. So it is of type boolean. Okay. The variables in JavaScript are dynamically typed, meaning that variable can be assigned to integer and then later can be assigned to string and then later to the object or so on. For example, now if I assign pi is equal to 3.14, it is of type float, and next line if I give pi is equal to hi, okay. In that case, the type of this variable pi is string. So it will become now string. Here it was float, here it will become string. So it will depends on what type of value you will assign. So that is called as dynamically typed. So you can see here declaring a variable x, but it is undefined. We are not defining any value. And it is y is defined and initialized with the value 0. Again, y is defined and assigned with the value 4. Okay. So there is one more concept called as conditional assignment. We have studied already the conditional assignment. Okay. We call it as, okay. So you can see here based on the condition we assign the values.
x is equal to y equal to 4. So y is assigned with the value 4. Okay. Now you are checking whether x is equal to 4. Similar to C programming. Okay. You are checking whether x is equal to 4. If it is true, then you are telling x is 4. If x is not assigned with the value 4, then it is telling y is not 4. Okay. The conditional assignment. Look at the syntax. Okay, similar to your C. Question mark, first value, and this is colon, and this is a second. If it is false, if the condition is true, this will be assigned. If the condition is false, this will be displayed. And what are the different types of comparison operators? You can go through this. Okay, so less than, greater than, not equal to. Okay. Similar to the C programming. Okay. Logical operator also similar to C. Okay. And, logical or, not. Okay. So this and all you have already studied in logical, okay, in C programming. Okay. Logical or, logical and logical not. Okay. What will happen if it is true, false? It is false. So in and, if anything is, any one is false, it will become complete false. Okay. To become true, all the two should be, or all the conditions should be true. And whereas here, to become true, okay, the condition to become valid true, okay, any one condition should be true. Okay. So not is opposite. So there is an example, okay, illustrating the conditional statement, if statement. So this is an example you can give for if statement. So we have two variables. These are two variables, and now you're checking r of day whether it is greater than 4. Okay. Suppose if you are assuming that we have given the value 2 here, okay, whether 2 is greater than 4. Okay. So condition false, else if condition, okay, 2 is greater than or equal to 12. Okay. The condition is false, else part it will display the message good evening. Okay, so this is meant for displaying 3 greeting messages: good morning, okay, good afternoon, and good evening. So you have to give in terms of 24 format. Okay, the date should be in 24 format. For example, if I am giving it as, so you can see here, where holds the hours of the date and set it later. Okay, this is for displaying the greeting message. So based on your condition, you can change this. So if the date is greater than 12 and less than 20, we are displaying it as good afternoon. Okay. For example, 13, 14. Okay. So you will be displaying it as good afternoon. Okay. So go through this and possibly try to execute it. This is one more, okay, where we are showing function concepts. Okay, how we are declaring, how we are what is the syntax we use for function. So here you can see, so this is for calculating factorial of a number. So factorial of a number, here you can see there is a button. Okay, here you'll be having, when you are executing this program, you'll be getting a button with the value. Okay, value is called, is equal to fact. The value of this is fact. And when you click on this, you are calling the function fact. You can see here fact bracket, not passing any parameter. Okay, so you can give a semicolon or you can leave it. Okay, semicolon is not mandatory. So it will call. So assume that I want to calculate fact. factorial of a number 4. Okay. So here it will be having prompt enter n. It is asking enter the value of n. So I will enter here 4. Okay, let me take a small number 3. I will take a small number 3. N is assigned with 3. And parse int, it will be converted. It is very important. The type of this will be string. Okay, so that should be converted into integer. Okay, so this will be considered as integer and it will be stored here. Okay, so whenever you are dealing with mathematical operation, okay, if you are taking any input, you have to convert it into integer or you have to convert it into float. If you want float, then you have to use parse float. Okay, so it is case sensitive. Remember this I is capital. Okay, fact1 is equal to, so one more variable with the value 1. So I is 1 and it will be less than or equal to 3. Okay, f into for factorial, it is very simple. Okay, f is equal to 1 into 1. Initially I value will be 1, it will become 1. Okay. Next it will increment and it will become 2, I will become 2. So f is equal to f, what is the value of f? It is 1 into I value will become 2. Yes, now it will become 2. I will increment, I will become 3 now. So 3 is less than or equal to 3. Yes, condition is true. F is equal to f. What is the value of f? It is 2. 2 into I value is 3. Okay, 6. So increment the value of I. Now it will become 4. Check the condition. 4 is less than or equal to 3. Condition fails. It will come out and it will use alert for displaying float. For displaying factorial of the number, that is 6. So this is how we'll be displaying factorial of the number. So simple program, okay, where we are showing the concept of functions. The functions are the building blocks for modular code in JavaScript and are even used for building pseudo classes, okay, which we'll discuss in the later. Okay, what do you mean by pseudo classes? Okay, so here we'll be using a reserved word. Okay, we can call it as a keyword, that is function. Okay, so we are using this function keyword. Followed by that, we are writing the name of the function, and you can optionally, if you want parameters, you can write here parameters. Okay. So the next concept is loops. Okay, what are the different types of loops? So here we'll be discussing two types of loop, that is while loop and for loop. Okay, so here you can see this is while loop and this is for loop. So where I is equal to 0, initialize the loop counter. So here you are incrementing the I value 0. You are checking till 0. So you can, if you want, you can display it here, alert message you can give, and you can display the value. It is similar to your C programming. Okay, nothing much different. It's similar to C programming. So this is about the for loop. For I is equal to 0. Okay, three conditions, three parts. Okay, so one is initialization, condition, and increment or decrement. So for loop is divided into three components. Okay, initialization, condition, post loop operation into one statement. Okay. So all the three components are placed within bracket and they are separated with the semicolon. So this is one more example for function for calculating power of 2 to the power of 3. Okay. So this is for 2 to the power of 3. How much it is? 2 into 2 into 3. That
8.
is 8. Okay. So this is for calculating power of a number. So here you can see this example shows how you can pass the parameters. Okay. So here I have two parameters, 2 and 3. Okay, I'm calling function power, and you can see here this is a keyword, reserved keyword. You have to write it as it is. Power 2 comma 3. So 2 will be in variable x and 3 in y. So power is equal to 1. Okay. So here we are using for loop. I is equal to 1, I less than 3. Okay. So power is equal to, initial value, it is 1. So, so 1 into x is 2. So now power will be having 2. In power we will be having initially it is 2. Next, increment the value of I, it will become 2. 2 is less than, initially I is equal to 0. Okay. So I is equal to 0. So 0 is less than 3. Okay. So next it will become 1. So 1 again, then it becomes 1. Execute this. Okay. Power is equal to power into x. X is 2. So it is how much? 2 into 2. Now it is 2 into 2. It will become 4. So 4 will be stored here. Again, increment the value of I. It will become 2. 2 is less than 3. Condition is true. Okay. And again, power is having now 4. 4 into x value is 2. 4 into 2 it is 8. Increment the value of I. I will become 3. 3 is less than 3. Condition fails. Okay. You can change this condition based on your requirement. You can start I with the value 1 and you can check 1 is less than. You can start from 1. And if you are starting it from 1, you have to, what change you have to do? You have to give less than or equal to here. Okay, if you are starting it from I is equal to 1. Okay, so this is 1, 2 and 3. Like this also you can do, or you can take it this as 0, 1 and 2. So that is how you write the program. Okay, so here I'm starting my for loop with the zeros. Okay, this one 0, 1, 2. So that is why it is less than 3. Okay. So since here it is, here if you have to give means you have to write less than or equal to 3. Okay, and come out. Okay, when the condition fails, you will be coming out and you will be displaying the value of power. So you can see here. You can see here the code. Look at the code. Here we have given power of 2 comma 10. Here what we are doing is we have a power function. This is a function. Okay. And here we have declared a variable with the, and there itself we are calling the power function. Okay. When you are declaring the variable, you are assigning it to the function. Okay. So this will directly execute the function and it will store the value 1024 in the variable a, and it can, we are displaying it using document dot write. Okay. So this is the result you are getting 2 to the power of 10. So that is 1024. Okay. So this is execution of power. The next one is errors using try and catch. So you have already studied about in either in Python or .NET. Okay. Even in Java, you might have studied about what is try, catch, finalize, finally, throw, and all. The try statement lets you to test a block of code for error. Okay. Catch. So it is used for catching the error, okay, or handling the error. Okay. Throw, so throw lets you to create, to throw some custom errors. Okay. So you can display your own message. Okay. When the error occurs, so customer error message can be displayed using throw. And finally, so this finally statement can be used to execute the code after try and catch regardless of the result. Okay. So finally, irrespective of error, okay, you can use this final block for displaying the result or any statement. Okay. Here we have try and catch, and small code. You can see here, in the body we have paragraph. Okay, you can see here I have a try block. Okay, so inside this, purposefully I have written, instead of alert I have used double L here. Okay, I have used double L here, and I'm trying to display something. Okay, and inside this, whenever you are trying to execute this statement, okay, the alert will throw the message. Okay, so that message, okay, so that error will be caught using this catch. Okay, so it will display some error message. You can see here how what will happen. And when you are trying to execute, it will display ALLERT is not defined. So this is the error message it is trying to display. So this it is telling ALERT is not defined. Okay, that is a try and catch. You can give a simple example. Try and catch. The next one is JavaScript objects. So JavaScript is not a fully fledged object-oriented programming language. So it is not having all the concepts that we have in an object-oriented language, like Java or .NET. So it is a partially object-based language which supports few concepts like constructors, properties, methods. Okay, you can create objects. Okay. So you can have constructors here. So here you can see here we are creating the variable, I mean the object, okay, using new keyword. So similar to uh, any other programming language, object-oriented language, here also we use a new keyword for creating the object of a particular class. Okay, so this is a new object we are creating. Okay, so variable my object refers to the new object. Okay. So this is one more object with the values p1, p2. These are the values that we are storing inside the object. Okay, some object. And this is one more way of creating the object in a JavaScript. Okay. So this is a string object with the value good morning. Okay, greeting is a string object with the value good morning. So you can also create the objects like this also. So this is also is treated as an object. We can call it as a variable, greeting is a variable, or you can call it as a object also. Okay. So here, so object creation is using the new keyword. So let me show an example for a constructor. So you can see here we have two objects. So these two are objects. Okay. And these are the values we have in the object: John, Doe, Kitty, Blue, and all, and my father and my mother. So these are two objects. Okay. And similarly, okay, so here of class, okay, we are creating the object of class person. Okay, we are creating the object of class person, and here we are creating the constructor. So this is a constructor, you can see. So you can, how you can specify a constructor. The constructor will also have the same name as a class. Okay, you can see this is a constructor. Okay, so this is whenever the object is created, the constructor will be called and it will be initialized with the value. So what is this? First name. So this keyword is used for initializing the value. First name is John, last name is Doe, age 50, eye color is blue. Similarly, when you create the second object, okay, the constructor will be called and it will be initialized with the first name as Ali, last name as Rally, age as 48, and eye color as green. Okay, and there is one more, okay, display. So display, it is calling the function, okay, along with initializing the value, it is calling the function display. Okay. So it is initializing with the function display. You can see here. So we are creating the object my father and you are calling the function display. What does the display will do? So as soon as the object is created, constructor will be initializing with the value and the function will be called. So what the function will do? It will display this message. What is this message? My father is this dot age. Okay. So what is this? We are calling with the object my father. So first time it will be calling with the object my father. So what is the age? My father, it is 50, correct? And my mother, this dot first name. What is the first name of first object? John. So you can see here, my father is 50 and my mother is John. Okay. Second time you are creating second object my mother. Okay, and you are calling the method display. Okay, so you can see these are the values which will be having for this parameters like first name, age, last name, I and all. So here my father is this dot age. Now it will be 48. So my father is 48 and my mother is this dot first name, that is Sally. Okay. So here you can see how two objects will be initialized with the different values. Okay. So here we are using the concept of constructors. Okay. So this is an example for constructor. So how we are accessing the property. So syntax for accessing the property of an object. Okay. How we can access with the object name followed by property. For example, you can give here, okay, object name, okay, my father dot age, okay, or my mother dot first name. Okay, you can see whether you can see here how we are accessing the property. Okay. What we have done here, we have created a paragraph. Okay. So if I want to display the result inside this paragraph, what I should do? I should write document dot get element by ID. What is ID? ID is a demo dot inner HTML. So inside this, if I want to place the content, I have to write dot inner HTML is equal to what I want to place. I want to place this content. My father is, okay, we are using object my father. Okay, we have created an object my father. You can see here, this is an object my father. Dot, we are accessing what property? Age property. So age properties is which one? 50. So third one. Okay. So here we are creating the person object. Okay. Here this is a constructor. Okay. And here we are calling, okay, parameter with the property age. Okay, for displaying the age. So this is object name dot the property name. Okay, and similarly, if I want to invoke a method, what I should do? Object name dot method name. Here you have seen how we have invoked the display method. Correct. Object name dot function name. Okay, or method name. So we have to give dot. Okay. So using this dot operator, you can either access the method or property. Okay. So person dot full name. Okay. So here you can see. So property for an object is created using assigning a value to the property. So here you have created, okay, we are creating object. So this is object, my car is an object you are creating and it is initialized with the value. Okay, so these are the two model values you are initializing. Okay, so my car, what property? For make you are initializing with what value and model you are initializing with this value. Okay, so you are creating the object and you are initializing with the property values. Okay, you're initializing the value for the property make and model. So this is initialization. Okay, so similarly there is one more way of initializing the value for the property. So instead of initializing in two lines, what I can do is I can write it in just one line like this. Okay, create object. Okay, use the property make. Okay, assign with the value. Create one more property and assign with the value. So these are two methods you can use for accessing the property values using the dot property notation. So what you can do here, if I want to display property value, what I can write, name of the object dot property make. So what it will display? It will display this value. What is the value? 4. Okay. So it will display the value 4. So similarly, there is one more way. Instead of using dot, I can also use square bracket. Like this also I can write. Okay. Object name followed by square bracket, and here inside this write the name of the property make. Okay. If I want to access model, I can also write like this. My car. Okay. My iPhone car. Okay. Either I can use dot or I can use square bracket, and inside the square bracket write, okay, model. So this is an example which I already discussed. Okay. So this example shows both constructors, okay, how to access the method, how to access the property. This example you can give. So this is for today. Fancy attendance. Chaitanya Krishna. Swati Priya.
Present, ma'am.
Afzal Khan. Akhil. Amoga. Anusha.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Anusha P is
Yes, ma'am.
absent. Ashwin. Aisha
Yes, ma'am.
Faiza. Bhagya. Chaitra.
Present, ma'am.
Chandrika. Chaya.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Deepti. Diksha TD. Diksha TD absent. Deepti G.
Yes, ma'am.
Deepti K. Mubina. Mubina. Kasira.
Present, ma'am.
Guru Prasad.
Yes, ma'am.
Devin.
Present, ma'am.
Ashita. Ashita. Jasna. Tripti.
Present, ma'am.
Karthik.
Yes, ma'am.
Kishore.
Yes, ma'am.
Krishna.
Yes, ma'am.
Srija. Krishna. Srija.
Yes, ma'am.
Srija. Mahima.
Yes,
Manoj.
ma'am.
Manoj. Manoj Bhatt. Manoj Bhatt is absent. Manoj Shetty.
Present, ma'am.
Manu, Mustak,
Yes, ma'am.
Nikhil, Nishchita,
Present, ma'am.
Nishma, Nitesh Kumar,
Yes, ma'am.
Parikshit,
Present, ma'am.
Pavitra Sri,
Present, ma'am.
Pooja, Prashna, Prajwal,
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Pratiksha,
Yes, ma'am.
Pratiksha,
Ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Pratika,
Yes, ma'am.
Pratiksha,
Yes, ma'am.
Three.
Present,
Next, while coming for the next lab, okay, Thursday, you have to give the demo of the progress about your mini project. Okay, you have to give a small demo about the progress about your the working. Okay, not the presentation. The working about your working of your mini project. Okay, is it clear? Is it fine? Please respond.